Hello everyone, my name is Ben O'Connor and I'm running for Editor-in-Chief of the John Marshall Law Review. I recognize it's weird for you to be watching a video, but I assure you it's very weird for me to be doing it for you. I was thinking about maybe having someone let up a poof of smoke and then doves would fly out and then I'd appear out of the smoke or maybe out of the back door, but nothing like that. I think you're stuck with me. I know you're stuck with me just on video. And I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to do this, and I thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I know I'm last, so I won't take up too much of your time. I just ask you to consider a few things. I think oftentimes we have a hard time, at least I have, describing what law review is. People might ask you that, particularly outside of the John Marshall or any kind of law school context. And I find myself often fumbling for words to describe what we do. I think going forward and in considering who to elect as editor-in-chief, it's perhaps helpful to think of law review in three ways. First, it's an academic journal. Second, it's a social network. And third, it's an honors program. And I think it's academic in the sense that it's developing candidates, just like us in this past semester, bringing in new people to write, contributors out from outside the school. It's social in that you're fostering a sense of community amongst the members and also sending them out, putting them in touch with other people inside and outside the John Marshall legal community and the Chicago legal community for that matter. And finally, it's an honors program that it means to instill in us and hopes to continue to make us better professionals and to instill in us a degree of professionalism. I think the editor-in-chief, and I ask you, the person who does that best and will lead you best is a person who leads in all three facets, in the academic, in the social, and in the kind of professional manner. I've found law review very fruitful for major reasons. First off, from the intellectual standpoint, the academic standpoint. It really is the intellectual arm, along with the other law reviews or journals. It's the intellectual arm of the student body. I think a lot of us, I know I felt this way. I felt, in a way, I can't help but feel a little bit boxed in by what we've been told to study. We're either studying for things because they're prerequisite classes, or we're studying for things because they're on the bar. And what law review did, even though at times it was extremely hard and you'd probably like to forget about it, gave us an opportunity to really explore something that we were interested in. And I know that's something I found very fruitful. And I think in our accomplishments, we're really shining a light not only on ourselves and on the law review, but also the entire John Marshall School. And I think that is something that I very much enjoy. I worked for a judge this past summer, and she and her clerk, who both went to, let's say, more highly ranked schools, said people at John Marshall, the best at John Marshall, are as good as anybody. And I think the law review has proven that. I would certainly like that to continue into the future. I don't see why it would not. Second, I've really enjoyed the community. Such talented people with many skills, of many interests in different legal fields or things outside of law. They're also ambitious. I mean, think about what we just did, and all of us just did. We wrote about 100 pages in less than 3 months of pretty high-level stuff. I think it says a lot about our drive for whatever the reasons, be it, just to put on a resume or whatever. I mean, it says a lot. And I find that very, very intoxicating in a way to be around people that are that talented and that ambitious. And also I think with law review, in our other classes and in the job search, there's always that little bit of competition that's always lingering in the back. And not saying that isn't, perhaps it's there, not that competition isn't bad. I think we all thrive within it. But I think with law review, there's less of that. And what this instills in each other and with it is a kind of bunker people along. Just get through this. I don't think there's any desire to undercut people. I think we really want people to succeed because it behooves all of us. I know this is a credit to the current editorial board, and I think it should be the goal of the editor-in-chief and the editorial board going forward to continue to foster the sense of community, not just with ourselves, but as I said, going outwards. I know it will certainly be mine if I am elected editor-in-chief. And also it's been a chance for professional growth. I think all of us can attest to that. It's taught us how to do our work and do it well, be focused, stay on schedule. And what I think it does is that it's making us better lawyers, whatever we are, better executives, whatever we do with our law degree, and better leaders. We're learning how to not just write high-level intellectual stuff, but to mingle with people, with one another, and with people outside of law review. And also, I think what it instills us is a sense of realism. I think the editor-in-chief and I think the editorial board and anybody on law review knows that there's lots of things going on in their lives. This is something that we're going to be encountering in the practice of law, certainly. We'll be balancing a lot of things, both personally and professionally. And I think a really good leader, and I think good leaders, recognize, and professional leaders have that sense of realism, that people can only accomplish this much in this time, or when should they devote this kind of energy to this kind of thing. So again, this sense of intellectual accomplishment, community, and professional growth has been something that I think the editor-in-chief and the editorial board should strive for. I will not carry on too long about why I think I should be editor-in-chief. I think we'd be fine with anybody that we chose. But a little bit about myself. I worked for a few years. I worked for a year in D.C. doing lobbying. I then went to graduate school, got my master's in theology because I thought it was interesting. I also worked there as a research assistant. I then worked for 4 years as a theology teacher at a high school, at a Catholic high school, where I also was. So I taught freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, as well as I coached freshman football. And then I came to law school, and here I am. A few things about what this has done and enabled me to do, and I think the skills that it brings to me. First off, a sense of time management, of what things are important, to be able to prioritize things and prioritize what person is important to work with now or later, what deadlines to focus on. It's one thing to have a deadline. It's another thing to kind of do the work along the way, and I think that's something that I can certainly do myself, but I think instill in others. I also think matching people's tasks to their talents. Coaching freshman football is tough because you have to put kids in specific positions that perhaps they're not used to, or you have to find what they can do and put them in a position that works for teaching as well. You have to teach one kid differently than you teach another. I think this will be helpful in not just cultivating candidates, but also helping the editorial board, as well as all members, what people fit into what task and what things they might be better at or might be worse at. And same goes for me, right? Being able to surround myself with people who can notice and say the same things about me. I also think this will help me bring the best out of people. Maybe people whose strengths can come out more. People who are great writers, let's bring them out. Not just through the John Marshall Law Review, but through other outlets of publication, if that's possible. Really being able to bring out people's strengths when I'm introducing them or being at a social function, which I think we can do in terms of networking, that would be something quite fruitful. I make no claims to be any more intelligent than any of the candidates. I probably would be less than most of them, but I think I do have a strong intellectual curiosity, which would benefit me not just in being interested in people, but in what they're going to write about and all the articles that are coming in. As an editor, you got to like what you're reading about, and so I think I have a strong intellectual curiosity. I love to learn new things, and I think that will suit me well. I also do have experience on a journal. In graduate school, I started a journal which didn't last terribly long after my friends and I left, but my friends and I started a journal, a theological journal, bringing in articles. So I do have experience when it comes to the editing, the organization, the content, what content to mix with one another. So I think that is very hands-on experience on this very issue. Sorry, I'm shaking my computer. Like I said, I think I would do a great job. I think any of us would do a great job. I ask you, though, again, in conclusion, just to consider those three things that I talked about. Choose a person. If you want to vote for me, that's great. But I want you to choose a person who you believe would lead the Law Review as an academic journal, as an honors program, and as a social network. Thank you for your time. Thank you again to the board for allowing me to do this. I hope everyone has a great weekend. I guess I'll be talking to you pretty soon, though. All right? Thanks, everybody.